down called either lack of sleep or the common cold or a little bit of both.
And hopefully it's not SARS-CoV-2. You know what I'm noticing? What I am noticing lately, and this is no joke, I'm noticing more and more people starting to get colds. Last year, I didn't know as many people getting colds.
I didn't get a cold last year. I don't think I have a cold.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. I mean,
I don't think I have a cold. I just have like something that says, "Homie, you need some sleep. Homie,
let me tell you. Let me do a little bit of a professor thing goes on here. Okay. All right. So when you have a cell that gets a virus, okay, and that cell invades that virus. The virus invades the cell. Oh, you can't see it. If you have a cell and you get a virus that invades the cell,
right?
All right. These viruses can either be positive single-strand RNA, negative single-strand RNA, double-stranded RNA, or double-stranded DNA. So that determines what kind of virus it is. Okay. Well, when this gets in there, even if it's a single stranded RNA, either positive or negative, what will happen is that there's going to be a lot of DNA that's being put into that cell, because it's not just one virus attacking the cell.
Really?
Okay, and there's a tendency for the package that's in there to actually create a double-stranded RNA, even though there's single-stranded RNA in there. There is some binding that takes place. Okay, so when that does take place, when that binding takes place, it activates IFN alpha and beta. Okay. And what that does is that it actually activates. And I was bringing this up with the messenger RNA guy, Dr. Malone. But what that does is that it upregulates PKR, protein kinase R. And then what that does is that dimerizes, creates two in the cell. So you have a dimerized PKR, and that dimerized PKR will downregulate something called elongation factor 2. You need elongation factor 2 to make protein.
So it takes all of this to make a cold? I mean,
well, no, I'll get to that question. So what happens is the virus is actually down-regulating a process to create apoptosis, because the elongation factor 2 will help with the apoptosis and kill the cell. But what happens is that when this takes place, you'll want to do apoptosis. You'll want to kill the cell. The body wants to kill the cell. All right. And then, so this is detection. This is what's called antiviral immunity. This is part of the innate immune system, not the humoral, which is the antibody, adaptive immunity. So it'll kill the cell, and this thing will also secrete. The cell will also secrete IFN, alpha and betas for other cells. Okay, and then this cell will also create what is called an IFN R. So IFN receptors. It will signal other cells not infected, to upregulate IFNs, Rs. And as it's secreting these interferons, it will attach to a non-infected cell in the area and turn this into a sensitized, ready for apoptosis cell, waiting for a signal. This double-stranded RNA that's detected, or single-stranded RNAs, will end up creating a process, another process, that will lead to activating something called RNase L. And basically what that does is it's another apoptosis mechanism to kill the cell. These are primed for the RNase L process for it to be killed. It's waiting. Mm-hmm. It's in the staging area, waiting for a signal. So if it gets the virus, if this doesn't stop it,
right?
If this doesn't stop it, this virus will spread. And this has the mechanisms in place a few steps ahead now, because it's been signaled from another cell that if I get infected, I need to go into kill phase.
Okay.
Right? So these go into suicide mode. Okay. And then if it gets infected, then this will kill the cell very quickly. This process is not as quick because it's never been infected, never been primed, and so it takes longer. So some of these cells, if the virus can downregulate these processes of antiviral and activate, this is what actually the messenger RNA does. It inactivates the antiviral capability of the cell to allow for the messenger RNA to be translated. Okay. If it didn't have that capability, then the cell would view it as foreign and kill the cell. But the messenger RNA from Moderna has this mechanism where it's actually inhibiting the downregulation of ELF2, and that's allowing it to be able to translate the messenger RNA from Moderna. So they're overriding the innate immune system. Okay, but that's Moderna. But in just a regular viral infection, what's happening is that if the cell doesn't kill itself, mm-hmm. sometimes these viruses can have mechanisms and inhibit the ELF2 downregulation, just like Moderna. And then the virus starts to spread. And this is the reason why the body wants to prime surrounding cells, that if I get that, if the front line collapses, if I do get infected, I'm already primed at the moment that RNA gets in, I kill myself. Right? Okay, so now go back to the question.
I understand where you're coming from. I do.
So go back to the question you were asking, or partially asking. Why was it that people weren't getting colds last year, but they're getting colds this year? Okay. If you have, last year, you had high infection for SARS-CoV-2.
Right.
Right? Okay. So you had a lot of cells that were primed from infection.
Right.
And they produced a lot of IFN alpha and beta and primed surrounding tissue to prevent other viruses from coming in. And if they did get in, they would kill it right away, and they would prevent. So this in last year was a protective capability that people had. Well, what's happening is that protective capability has gone down because the number of people that are actually getting the natural infection has gone down.
So basically, we boosted our immune system to resist SARS-CoV, which resisted not only SARS-CoV, but every other virus out there?
When you get a viral infection, you have an innate immune response through IFN alpha and beta to prime other cells in the area to be antiviral cells. And that if those cells get infected, they go and kill themselves right away. And so what's happening is now more and more people are getting colds because this process is not activated anymore.
Gotcha.
And it's not activated anymore because actually what's happening is that natural infection for SARS-CoV-2 is going down.
So that's becoming the term herd immunity.
And here's another issue that's going on now with and then what's happening is a lot of people are using masks and are going outside now. So what's happening is now you're having an uptick of infections of other diseases.
Right.
Infections of other diseases, other viruses or bacteria.
So we didn't maintain the strength, or it would have just started killing off other cells and all the cells. So it shuts itself down because the weapons are not needed no more, and the signal doesn't.
Influenza was low last year because there was enough people out there that had the normal infection from SARS-CoV-2.
Okay, so the question then becomes, how can we get that immunity back up? And will it have to come back up with the different variants? Because in the end, the next virus could be a form of polio. And now it's got to fight two different characters instead of one that has a transition ability.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, I mean,
say if it was, say instead of the flu, say it's polio or maybe measles gone wild. A different kind of virus. Yeah, measles gone wild, okay? I mean, we used to have measles parties. So if that ever occurred, like now, our bodies would be creating an immune response to kill anything, any cell, and all the cells around it would be trying to commit suicide. But its specific thought would be a viral infection, but measles is not necessarily all viral infection.
This process that I'm talking about is specific to viral. But the thing is that the prime cells that are in the surrounding area, any RNA or DNA viral package that ends up penetrating those prime cells would automatically go through apoptosis unless those viruses have something special that shuts down that capability of apoptosis. But this is the point.
Okay.
Is this is the reason why influenza was not big last year.
So
it's very strange for the CDC to say, well, we think that there's going to be influenza in 2021. Well, the reason why is partially due to the vaccine program is not priming this.
So that's the reason
the
why
vaccine
all these
program does not prime your surrounding cells.
So for all the school teachers out there, the kids never caught COVID, but they are now at the moment of priming.
Remember what I said, that Moderna vaccine shuts down the capability of the apoptosis by making sure that ELF2 is activated.
So now they can't have
the antiviral capability makes sure that ELF2 is off, so viral proteins can't be made. But Moderna turned it on to make sure they can create spike protein.
And if something flows
and
through
then
the air,
by doing that, it prevents the priming, and so therefore other viral infections
can just party.
Could start to go up, right?
They can
That's
party.
The point I'm making. That's why I said the natural infection was going down because of the vaccine program.
So is that the reason why?
Of the SARS-CoV-2.
Right.
But the thing is SARS-CoV-2 natural infection going down, and other infections going up, viral infections going up because of this situation.
And like
it's a dual thing.
Okay.
Because the messenger RNA is down-regulating this antiviral process, right?
Right.
And then you have the other viral situations in your community, the common cold, influenza, or whatever. and they're not stopped because of this process is not on, because the Moderna vaccine actually turned it off.
So hold on, let me go here. So basically, mommy and daddy took the shot. Junior is around mommy and daddy, so like a flea, his body adjusts to the same Moderna shot. Now Junior says, "Oh, I'm protected because mommy and daddy doesn't have it," but his got turned off because he's around them. Mommy gave him a kiss. It went into his So now it's the point where Junior decides he's going to go out and play with his friends with his thing turned off. Somebody coughs, he catches COVID, plus he catches the flu or pneumonia.
I mean, most likely it would be probably. I'm noticing even in medical school, people starting to get the sniffles.
Right.
And we can't do anything
about it.
We have to be 3 foot apart. We're not in the 6 feet, but we're 3 foot apart, and then we have to have masks on the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening is people are not doing I don't wear the same mask every day. I use disposable masks. I don't wash them. I don't do anything. I use one mask, and that's it. And then I throw it away. See, what people are doing is they're using the same mask
and carrying it with them.
They don't clean it, and they're carrying it around, and they're picking. So they're using
picking their nose.
Yeah, they're using a mask that is somewhat contaminated of other things, not just of SARS-CoV-2, but of just other things, primarily other things. And if you have that on all day long, and you happen to have it sit, and then you use it again the next day,
and
this is how it all starts.
But hold on.
This was my big worry of mandatory habitual use of masks will lead to other infections. And then you couple this mechanism in place, it'll make it worse.
I'm trying to even think of it, make a worse situation, because if SARS-CoV is mutating and you got that virus on that mask, or you breathe in that virus and it finds itself able to blend together with the SARS-CoV, you just created your own in-house variant.
Yeah, but I'm holding the belief that Eric already did that for us with the 4 and 5 cocktail. Because
with that cocktail, they've already allowed them.
We got to remember what's interesting about SARS, about coronaviruses, beta coronaviruses. So this is the envelope. Okay. This is what we call the spike protein. Okay. All right. With the HIV homology. Well, next to it is called HE protein. Okay. And that is an analog to attach to sialic acid receptors, just like influenza. Influenza has an N and an H. You know, H1N1?
Gotcha.
Well, SARS-CoV-2, beta coronaviruses have SARS spike protein, and the HE protein as a co-receptor.
So it's able to it's basically going to accept anybody coming through.
And then what you can do is you can modify that in the lab and have it more like this.
Can it be natural? Could it be a natural modification as well?
Most likely, no. Normally, if you took the protein for H, okay, that has code. You know, that has a certain code.
It has a chain to it.
Right, and this whole code, for it to be like 98% homologous to this, it would have to be plugged and played. It would have to be copy pasted. Now, if there was things in this code that is like 25% similar, then you would see some sort of maybe some sort of recombination effect.
Okay.
But it would have to be in the same cell, and it would have to be very accidental, and it would have to be, the conditions would have to be just right. So it would be rare for that to happen.
Naturally.
Very rare. Yeah, it would be rare. But could it happen? Yes. But we have to talk about what's the percentage of it. Because a certain piece of the code, maybe 4 or 5 nucleotides could, be inserted with another in the same cell that happens to be. It should have been the code for. A lot of things would have to happen to go wrong. I'd have to go into the details, but the RNA as it's being made would have to be cut. All right, and then that piece have to be inserted in on accident and then healed. Anneal. It's called annealing.
Yeah.
So there has to be like a ligase. So it has to be cut, and then it has to be
cut and paste.
Ligase together.
Mm-hmm.
That is a rare event. That's a very, very rare event. Could it happen in the cytoplasm? Yeah, it could, but it's rare. This would be more common though in the nucleus, and not all infections will transport to the nucleus.
Okay.
Those are you'd have to have a certain mechanism in place to make sure that the motor on the microtubules.
Mm-hmm.
The cell has a bunch of microtubules. It's like train tracks. So the virus comes in, it's docking on actin, I think it is, and then there's a motor. There's actually a little molecular motor that actually transports it right into the cell, into the nucleus. It really is like a train track.
Okay, so, I got a question here.
But the thing is that the point that I'm making is if we start seeing a lot of cases of SARS-CoV-2 plus influenza, that's more of a sign that that's the Barrick 4 or 5 cocktail released.
And that means
the reason being is that what's the chances of getting SARS-CoV-2 and influenza when you have this mechanism?
It's slim to none.
You follow me? Right. Exactly. That's the point that I'm making.
I mean, that's a good
it's
better
either
chance.
One or the other. It's either one or the other. And SARS-CoV-2 is more infectious. There's more virulence. There's more issues with SARS-CoV-2. So naturally, it should be pushing out in the society influenza infections because of this process. Because if influenza came in, there was enough cells that are primed, and I'm talking about natural infection now.
Right.
SARS-CoV-2 natural infection. There would be enough cells primed that if influenza came in and infected these cells, therefore it would already be stopped. Because you got to remember the mechanism of transmission and colonization.
Right. I got you.
For influenza is SARS-CoV-2. It's the same. It's pulmonary. So it's not like hepatitis or something like. It's a different. It's not
a totally different monster.
Right. It's not going into a different tissue. It's the same types of tissues. So therefore, influenza should stay at bay for that population. So for people that would get both at the same time, that is suspicious.
That's Russian roulette.
Very suspicious.
Okay. There's a question. Is the goal to ensure that all live persons will need to get a shot to protect themselves from future viruses, as the current drive to get inoculated is designed to crush all natural immunity? There is a shift in what stabilizes our dollar worth, not gold, not petroleum, but pharmaceutical base. Imagine worldwide demand to get inoculated to survive, and the control over all life by the threat of being denied the cures. Because what you're just showing us is the possibility that even the common molecule for the common cold will be having multiple thousands of variants?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. There's there's some dogma that's going on, plus there's some nefarious activity.
Right.
So you have individuals that are in the profession, all right, let's say immunology or medical profession, that do buy into the dogma that the more the merrier for in terms of vaccines. I'm against that. I think that too many vaccines is not prudent. Um, so there's this dogma of just the science, and thinking that trying to have some sort of shot for a particular virus is good. Then you have then you have big pharma and the incentive, the money incentive. So I think the trend here is that we're going to start hearing annual shots for influenza and SARS-CoV-2 that are mandatory in corporate America. I think that's where this is going, and that there's going to be enough experimentation done at the clinical trial level of doing a one-shot influenza and SARS-CoV-2 combo.
Okay.
But I don't think that it's going to be next year. I think that's going to be in the following year. Okay. But you're going to start hearing mandates because if you start hearing big influxes of influenza during this season and part of next year, then there's going to be an incentive by the health agencies, the CDC, the FDA, the NIH, to be pushing for 2-shot vaccines that are very similar to MMR, but it would be SARS-CoV-2 for influenza, and then that opens up the door to the HIV vaccine. Because I believe this is all marching everybody towards a mandatory HIV vaccine.
Okay, let me do this question first. Can the Pfizer vaccine cause enhanced symptoms of other ailments like sensitivity to allergic reactions and possibly even symptoms of prolonged exhaustion? That's from Lindsay. The other question was from, of course, you know who, Robert Banfield.
Wait. Before we go to Roberts, say that I like to.
Lindsay
because I want to focus on what I want to say for each question.
Okay.
So the first question was what?
Lindsay asked, Lindsay asked, can the Pfizer vaccine cause enhanced symptoms of other ailments like sensitivity to allergic reactions and possibly even symptoms of prolonged exhaustion?
Yes. Exactly. Yes. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I'm concerned about the antibody-dependent enhancement and the autoimmune disorder. And part of the antibody-dependent enhancement is the overproduction of cytokines when activating cytotoxic T cells through the Hoskins effect. What happens is if the body is always inflamed, it's always going to be making pro-inflammatory cytokines. So this is the reason why I keep on saying to people, you need to get onto an anti-inflammatory protocol if you don't want to have autoimmune disorders and these allergic reaction effects. By reducing the pro-inflammatory cytokines and increasing your anti-inflammatory cytokines and boosting up your immune system, you're lowering your chances of having these adverse side effects. And I've told people on this show and on the show with Mike Adams and on my channel. I got another strike on my big channel, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I was talking about how I didn't like our Ruth Ginsburg.
Yeah. Oh, no,
as a justice, and then I was talking to Trey Cat Knight, and we were also talking about the weapons program.
Yeah.
So that was taken down. Okay, but
congratulations.
But on these shows that I've done, Lindsay, is that I have a protocol. I've mentioned all you have to do is go to the Brighteon channel that has my live videos. Look for, I think it's HIV War Rooms 47, 48, and 49, and that goes into detail what my protocol was. And you can get the products on my store. I tell you how much to take, how many days to take it, what's the protocol after you take the vaccine, before you take the vaccine, and this will lower down. This is what I did. And this will lower that inflammatory response and reduce the chances of the adverse side effects that are tied to autoimmune disorder.
Well, first of all,
and this is tied in. This is right tied in. This runs parallel to my research on the TAP protein. It's just what I learned from the TAP protein is an allopathic treatment for GBS and multiple sclerosis, and vaccine injury. Through antibodies attacking cells. There are natural things out there that are anti-inflammatory that will help with that same capability that TAT has. And now Robert said, so please go to my store and share the links to everybody, and if you can to because the protocol works, and it's not only is it anti-inflammatory, it's anti-aging. It's an anti-aging. It slows down aging. Aging process is inflammatory.
Hold on. This is what Lindsay said. I went into full anaphylaxis by a shellfish allergy a couple of days ago. You shouldn't have been eating them shellfish, girl. You know what's up. Okay. It never been that bad. After I got 1 dose of Pfizer in March, you took the shot. I continuously had increased sensitivity to everything. She's gonna be one of those Marvel comic superheroes. We're gonna call her Shellless.
Mm-hmm. Because what's happening is that when you're taking the vaccine, it's creating a pro-inflammatory response. So by creating all those pro-inflammatory cytokines, now you're more susceptible to other allergies because you're already primed. You're already inflamed. The whole idea is to bring down that inflammation and reduce the chances of other allergic reactions. If you can control and bring down the inflammatory response and that chronic inflammation, then allergies start to go away. Doesn't mean all of them will go away, but the severity will go. It just depends on the level of allergy you have. But her point is that
it was cross-contaminated.
The scientific community isn't being truthful to the public that there's autoimmune disorders that are taking place or pro-inflammatory cytokine production that's for some people are higher than normal for their homeostasis. Okay. And because of that, we need to start having a conversation, and for those cases, they start to show what are the means and mechanisms to try to bring down that pro-inflammatory response. In the allopathic way, at least acute, what they do is corticosteroids. But corticosteroids have problems. So this is the reason why I keep on saying, take the ashwagandha, take the turmerics, take the C60s, take the resveratrols, take the NMN, which is the nucleotide it's a nicotinamide mononucleotide, which makes the NAD+. It's a precursor. It helps with the health of the mitochondria. When you have good health of the mitochondria, they don't die, you don't go into necrosis, and you start to have a healthier production of ATP. When you have that, you can fight infection. You can start healing. And resveratrol is a antioxidant. It's anti-inflammatory, and it also helps with apoptosis of senescent cells. So it gets rid of the crap that has been accumulating in your body. I mean, at the cellular level, not literally the crap that's in the colon, but you see my point. That the medical establishment needs to start talking about using natural pro-inflammatory supplements to actually help heal the body and reduce that pro-inflammatory response. And you can apply it to vaccines, you can apply it to autoimmune disorders, you can apply it to chronic illnesses, such as Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is an attack of the antibodies of your thyroid.
Hashimoto.
So if you lower that attack, then you reduce the damage to the organ, the gland. It's a gland. So the thyroid gland produces thyroid hormone and calcitonin. Well, when it's not working, you don't have proper calcium balance in your bloodstream, and you don't have proper T3, T4 levels in your body, and you need T3, T4 levels for energy and also for proper cellular function and the creation of new proteins. It's actually a transcription factor. So there's a lot of things that are beneficial when you're on this kind of anti-aging, anti-inflammatory protocol that I'm talking about. If you look at people that have lived a long life, there's a common theme: they're not inflamed. Okay. The people that are chronically that die early, they're normally chronically inflamed, right? Okay. This is why I keep on saying that the solution is reduce inflammation, and it comes right out of my desire to learn more and more about anti-aging. Throughout the decades, I've been doing this since I was 16. Learning about this, and over time, new things have come onto the market. New research is been published, saying exactly what I'm saying. The reason why D3 works for helping to fight SARS-CoV-2 when coupled with other treatments is it helps with the apoptosis. D3. So everyone was saying that D3 didn't work. No, it does work. And it was a published paper that actually shows why it works, and it's apoptosing of the infected cells. Same thing. Catalase actually helps with reducing SARS-CoV-2 infection. Catalase is an internal ingredient in the cell to actually reduce reaction oxygen species. It's an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant capability. So there's adequate evidence to support my thesis here that when you go into a reduction of inflammation, you're reducing the chances of autoimmune disorder or allergic reactions or other adverse side effects. Because you think about all the side effects that have been taking place, they all fall in the category of inflammatory. Even the thrombosis, even the blood clotting, that's an inflammatory response. They're all about inflammatory responses.
That's interesting. So let me go let me just say this. Before I even go to the next question. Actually, let me just go to the next question.
No, go to
the next question.
We didn't say Roberts.
I'm getting ready to tell you Robert's next one. Isn't it true that mRNA is designed to sabotage the natural immunity by encouraging dependence on synthetics?
Well, here's the problem: is that you have a group of people that are. There's the dogma types, and then the ones that are making the money from administering these therapies. I think that there's not adequate testing to know all the adverse side effects of what's going on, especially with the messenger RNA platform. And I just gave you one big one right here: the downregulation of antiviral innate immune response with cells, because the messenger RNA inhibits the downregulation of elongation factor 2. So it's messing around with the normal apoptosis antiviral capability that we have. There's probably individuals within the dogma in the medical community that just don't realize what they're doing. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. They just don't know any better. They have horse blinds. They think that it's safe. The FDA said it's safe, so it must be safe. Vaccines are good. And they just leave it at the door at that and not really think about the potential side effects, especially, the autoimmune side effects and the myocarditis. So you have that issue, and then you have that other group that just, they don't care. They may know through the clinical trials that a small percentage do have these situations, and then they'll be able to make the money by just having mandatory administration of these vaccines. So I don't think that there's a cabal out there that's saying you have to take the vaccine, this is how you're going to be depopulated. I think it's just that we're monkeying around with things that are complex, and complex systems have a tendency to do things unexpected. And I think that we are starting to fall into that realm of the negative externalities of vaccines. And when you have it habitual, when you have it cookie cutter, when you have it mandatory across society, especially with one epitope,
Right.
then you're going to start seeing these black swan events start to happen that are negative. Sometimes you have a positive black swan event, but in this case, we're having a negative black swan event where I think that we are priming the population into a more severe pandemic later down the road, because we are hardwired to primarily produce the original epitope that we were given and not be able to respond efficiently to new epitopes 5 years down the road for SARS-CoV-2. Now, do I think that they knew this when they released it? No, because I take the theory on this, that it was that the weapon is not the vaccine. The weapon
Right.
is the virus. And the weapon was developed by the US military to be used on the battlefield. And, and that the antidote, even imperfect, was the vaccines that were in development, such as the nanoferritin, such as the messenger RNA platform, even the adenovirus. And then there's a protein only type vaccine that I don't believe has been approved yet. But so it wasn't there are individuals out there that say the vaccine is the weapon. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. I think it's the antidote for the weapon, and it's an imperfect antidote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to take it because there's adverse side effects. I'm not saying don't take it either, because there are adverse side effects of not taking the vaccine. So but what I am saying is that you got to weigh the risks of it all. And I am in the camp that that the virus was a weapons program, not the vaccine. I think that the whole truther community on this has got it 100% wrong with the vaccine as being the actual weapon. No, I don't believe that for a second. I believe it was the antidote for the weapon. The issue is they should have never made the Frankenstein virus. And there's not just one of them. There's, I believe, 3 of them. There is the SARS-CoV-2 with influenza, and SARS-CoV-2 with influenza and HIV.
Well, I was telling Robert, he's not old. He's just, as old as the Sphinx. That's not too old. He said that the weapon was the excuse to get everybody to use, to get vaccinated, which now makes us all more vulnerable. And I see what he's saying, but I mean, in the end, we don't have the minerals or the vitamins in our bodies. On the Facebook channel and in YouTube, you have the link to Dr. Paul Cottrell's anti-aging box, and I want people to jump on it. Go get your box, and
I sell boxes that are they're curated, so people can just hit the button and they they can get a good supply of anti-inflammatories and anti-aging products. But you can buy individually also. I sell nano silvers,
Yes.
liquids and gels and soaps and lozenges, multivitamins. I sell, a lot of supplements like turmeric and ashwagandha. I have a sleep formula called Good Night Formula, which is a tryptophan and melatonin supplement. I have a clarity factor to help, clear your mind throughout the day. So I have a lot of really good products. I have an all natural deodorant that's citrus or
toothpaste.
I have this toothpaste, right?
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a nano silver toothpaste that is the best thing that you'll ever get. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how it whitens the teeth, reduces the gingivitis. It will reduce the cardiovascular issues, because some cardiovascular issues actually is through bacterial infection through the gums into your bloodstream, and then that gets in and it damages your heart valves, especially the mitral valve. So that over time, so. but the key is, and it doesn't have fluoride or any of that crap in it, so it's very good stuff.
So all my
products are top line products. They are a little expensive, I'll admit to that, but they are top ingredients.
So yeah, I want people to understand it's smarter to go get a box, just to be honest. I mean, he's gonna say, yeah, get the individual. Go get a box. Trust me, you'll be happy. In the end, it's like you get Christmas at your house. Like you get those Amazon packages. Get a box, man. Get a box, and get yourself well taken care of, because you got the man here. He's telling you the truth. He's the one that started shouting out about this weaponized virus. He's the first one. He screamed it, and he lost channels. He's losing channels, and he's still screaming it. I mean, in pure honesty, just like my man Jeffrey Daugherty said, this is the only place you're going to get the truth, and we don't care how you deliver the truth, because you're not going to get censored on Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate the platform to be able to share my thoughts and what I have done, and what how I think that going forward, how you can boost your immune system so you are able to fight this better. But not only that, you slow down aging, and any health ailment that you do have, I think you'll notice that you'll start to see healing when you start doing this anti-aging protocol that I talk about. So, and it has to be tweaked for certain ailments, but the issue here is that people are not taking charge of their own health in mass, and they're just listening. Well, just take a vaccine. That's just going to help you. Well, you know what? For some people, they can't take it because they have problems taking it. All right. So, and not only that, there are side effects for taking vaccines. That's why we have VIRS and why it's being published on, the vaccine injury. See, the mainstream media never tells you about the vaccine. They just say the far majority of the people are fine. Well, you have underreporting of VIRS, of that. But even what is reported, how many times have you been told by Sanjay Gupta on CNN on what those adverse side effects are, such as thrombosis, such as inflammation of let's say your CNF canal, your ventricles, your ventricles. You have ventricles in your head. Yeah. They can swell up and cause damage. They don't tell you about that. What about the nervous system issues that take place?
That's a lot of that.
What about the myocarditis?
Hey, people.
Right, and then there's other things like long COVID that's affecting the parasympathetic nervous system on your heart. In other words, your heart wants to beat fast, wants to go into tachycardia. And your body has to regulate it by a parasympathetic response to go into bradycardia. And that balance depends on what's going on in the body. What's your blood pressure? What's your respiration and all this? There's a lot that goes into it. But when you inhibit through damage of the vaccine or of the infections, long COVID infections have a similar case of this. You can damage the vagus nerve. And when you damage the vagus nerve, you are affecting the organs that the vagus nerve are innervating. And, so you're going to have kidney problems and pulmonary problems and heart problems just on the electrical side. And this is part of the COVID long hauler syndrome. So people need to really talk about this. Not 10 years from now, when you start hearing a lot of people having long COVID, right? Now there's long COVID through natural infection. There's long COVID through, or symptoms of long COVID through the vaccine. Let's be honest. Now, the ones that are in the vaccine group, it's not that common in terms of the number of doses that have been administered. But through the power of numbers, it's in the hundreds of thousands that have some adverse reaction. Where's the talk in the mainstream media of the hundreds of thousands of individuals. You know, it's the last I stopped looking in July, but the last I looked, it was around 600,000 adverse side effects for the vaccine. Well, now you got to remember there was, over 3 million doses that have been administered in the United States, but there are over 500,000 adverse side effects. Where is the dialogue in the mainstream media about this? This is an important feature for people to make the decision properly if they should take the vaccine or should not take the vaccine, because it's all about choice and being informed, because the average person doesn't know where to get VIRS. Go to VIRS and find it in the CDC website, right? So the average person wouldn't know. So the average person only hears what Fauci tells them. Same vaccine for everybody, no matter what the age is what Fauci's saying. So he's saying original epitope, P4 epitope for everybody, even if you're, just came out of the womb, even if you had SARS-CoV-2 naturally. That's what his story is. And by the way, everyone's going to be fine. That's what people are hearing on the mainstream media. What's really they need to hear, the other side of the coin of this, is that being for everybody on the P4 epitope, for everyone, is going to hardwire everyone for making antibodies to only that epitope and have a less productive response to new variants when your adaptive immunity needs to retool for new antibodies that are more specific to that new epitope. When you have SARS-CoV-2, when you have SARS-CoV-2 naturally, your antibodies are actually better. They stay longer, and they have a better affinity towards a future infection than anything that Moderna gives you. The caveat to that is that you're gambling. You may get a severe infection, you may not. But that's your choice, not the government's choice. But the thing is that people aren't getting all of the information. They need to hear all the good, and they need to hear all the bad. And the problem is that because of my channel being censored, I can't tell these people out there what the bad is. I don't accentuate the bad. I mean, there's other ones that do, like 10 but I don't accentuate the bad. I tell what's good about it and what's bad about it. It is your choice to make a decision. When we accentuate only the good, that's a Fauci. Right. When we accentuate only the bad, that's just an anti-Fauci. It's not pro-science. I don't want Fauci and I don't want anti-Fauci. I want pro-science with data, with discernment, by listening to the evidence and not having one side hide the evidence. So like the pro-vaxxers, they're hiding the adverse side effects and downplaying the adverse side effects. But the anti-vaxxers, they're downplaying the potential benefits. We have to be honest here. And this is the problem that I have. I'm heavily censored. I'm probably one of the most censored on this topic. Yet, I think I played the middle ground the best. And unfortunately, I can't. Unfortunately, I am not able to reach the large audience that I was reaching on YouTube before the censorship. I could easily get onto Stephen Maloney's show, and that thing would hit thousands and thousands of people during the live broadcast, and then hit tens of thousands the next day, But what happened was that the censorship started becoming extreme, so I can only premiere, and then I have to hide it, or I have to delete it, and I have to put it on Brighteon or on Rumble, which has less traffic. So I have to use these types of networks that Daryl has to get the word out. What I have to say is important. It's not the only thing to say. And there's other people that have a piece of this to comment on that may be against what I'm saying. But we need to have the dialogue and not to be censored. And this is a major issue. major issue, that we are losing our constitutional freedoms of free expression and freedom of speech, and the marketplace of ideas. What we're now getting is the marketplace of whatever the government wants you to have, and that is no different than communist China.
All right, I gotta make a statement, so that I got a request of you. Could you please tell people about all these fake information, and they're giving them hits on BitChutes? I was just looking, and there was something that came up a couple of days ago 2 days ago, that I thought was kind of funny. The U.S. Supreme Court declares COVID vaccine alters DNA forever. A whole thing on BitChute. 26,550 people saw it, and it's bullshit. It's a straight lie.
This is the problem.
And these people believe it. I'm like, hold on. When does the Supreme Court? How do they know anything about fucking DNA? I'm sorry. If you want to just smack some of these people, you listen to this man. Okay? If you're on this network, you're listening to on this network, listen to this man. He's here. He's going to tell you the truth. If you're going to go to BitChutes and listen to these dumbass people with these articles like this, I think even Dr. Paul said, how stupid are you to believe that? And 26,000 of you people out there saw it.
Okay, so
and you paid this man, and listen to this. It has a little dollar sign on the chart, and it says 81%. This motherfucker getting paid off you, and you dumb. Hey,
Yeah, here's the thing: is that I have been trying to inform the public and give a solution.
And truth, with truth.
Fear, and the thing is if you just follow my lead, you'll be okay. Just follow my lead.
And you give them facts.
What I'm preaching. I'm doing what I'm preaching. So here's the debunk. Another crazy theory. There's this, and there's a lot of people out there in the truther community saying this. The vaccine has 99% graphene oxide. Okay, graphene oxide is made out of carbon, and this is what they're saying. And then, okay, so if they're saying that the vaccine is made out of 99% graphene oxide, okay, 99%, that would mean that the solution that's in the vial would be black.
Black.
The last I looked, the vials are clear. The graphene oxide is not 99%.
No, they added food color and some bleach to it, Doc.
So what it's the graphene oxide is not in all of the vaccines, but in some of the vaccines. And the thing is it's in a very, very, very low concentration. And the reason why it's there, if it is there, is that it is part of the adjuvant system to be able to elicit an immune response and to help with the lipid nanoparticle to actually fuse with the cell to get the messenger RNA into the cell. So there was a research study that was done around 2000, I want to say 2016 or 18, I can't remember. I did a video on it. It's on Brighteon, but I talk about graphene oxide and the reason why it's there, and it's an adjuvant, and it helps with the fusion. And if you don't have that, then you aren't eliciting the inflammatory response to be able to create the protein. See, here's the issue, and this is what happened in our research, for the TAP protein. All right, if you just take a protein of anything, you just administer it. All right, you take some protein and you put it in the body. Most likely, you will not elicit antibodies to the protein. Okay, you won't. All right. What you have to have is an inflammatory response,
allergic
localized
response.
To where you have to have a condition that has the proper ingredients around where the protein is to elicit an immune response. Right. This is what they call adjuvants, and it's an aluminum oxide, and there's a lot of other stuff. All right, but the thing is that graphene oxide can be in low concentrations. Now we're talking about like 0.01% or even less. All right, as being able to be had synergistic effects with the other adjuvants that are in the vaccine. Okay, so when you have those adjuvants in, then you can elicit an immune response and have an antibody to that protein.
Mm-hmm.
The problem comes in is that if that protein is food, then every time you eat the food, then you start getting an allergic response.
Like shellfish.
And that's the reason. That's right, and that's the reason why you had leaky gut, and some of that protein from the food ends up getting into the bloodstream or in the lymph nodes. And what will happen is it'll elicit an immune response, especially if you end up being chronically inflamed. And this goes back to what I was saying before.
Yeah.
If you bring down that inflammatory response on an everyday basis, even if you have leaky gut, you're lowering the chances of developing food allergy. Because once you get the food allergy, it's very hard to unget it.
Right.
It's easier to not get it than to unget it.
So if you just in the inflammatory response, there'd be no food allergies.
So we had something in our research that was called the P2 protein that's presented on the myelin sheath of peripheral nerves.
Okay.
This is kind of the coating on the nerve. Well, if you don't give it an adjuvant, it won't make an antibody against the P2 to give the autoimmune disorder. So we had to give an adjuvant. It was called CFA, but we had to give it an adjuvant. All right, to get the rat to create antibodies against P2, and those antibodies ate the myelin sheath on the peripheral nerve, and then we gave it CAS to treat it,
right.
to help heal the injury. This is what's basically going on in the vaccine program. The vaccine program doesn't work unless you have an adjuvant. And so, so these people that are just saying, oh, it's made out of graphene oxide and you're going to get tied into the Borg and all this, bullshit.
Well, let's see, Doc, you say it so nicely, it's bullshit. But you got all these people that are really being sucker fished, and these people don't even understand. These people are getting paid.
The thing is in these people are doing it. Have you noticed a lot of them stay on YouTube?
Didn't we talk about this how long ago when we were losing all channels?
I'm getting censored because I'm telling you how literally the Moderna vaccine is downregulating your antiviral capability, because what it's doing is it's making sure that elongation factor 2 stays on. Now, who is telling you that? Nobody. Nobody's telling you.
Hold on.
Because
nobody at all.
Right. But I'll get set. I put this video up, bam, it gets knocked down.
I was writing Jeffrey Daugherty, and I told him, you got to have him on your late night show. He's got a great audience, and he wants somebody that's unindoctrinated and tells the truth. That's all he cares about. I want you to be somebody to tell the damn truth. Don't hide it. Don't sugarcoat it. If it stinks, it stinks. If it don't, it don't. And Dr. Paul Cottrell is the man that is going to tell you the truth. He's going to give you both sides of the argument, which means he stands in the middle because he has to see both sides. Well, if you're going to bitch shoots and listen to people tell you that the Supreme Court says, well, this vaccine is going to give you a lifetime of hell. Come on now. I mean, hold on. How can they say it's going to give... Let me go back to the top. I'm just thinking about what it actually said, and it kind of got me, Doc, because the statement it made was a lifetime. It's going to be with you forever. They don't even know what the long-term effects is the vaccine or the therapeutic on the human body. But they're going to tell you it's going to restructure your DNA forever.
Well, here's the problem. This is the truth.
It's assumptions.
Okay? Here's the thing. Okay. you have a cell, and you have it's not cells look more like this usually, all right? But you have a nucleus, all right? And in the nucleus is your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's protected by all that juicy liquid.
Now, when you have a retrovirus in your cell, okay, such as HIV, you have something called integrase, and you have something called and then reverse transcription. So we'll call RT. Okay.
Right.
So this is the reason why it's called a retrovirus. It's retroing in, right? So when you have this DNA, it gets shuttled in, and then it goes into the nucleus. And what happens is, or not the DNA, it's the RNA. And then the RNA ends up being reverse transcribed into DNA. All right. And then that DNA, all right, that DNA that's reverse transcribed is in the nucleus, and it gets integrated through the integrase. So you need two things in the cell for retroviruses. You need the integrase, and that's usually in the package, in the capsid package. The integrase and the actual reverse transcription capability, all right, for the RNA virus, retrovirus. Now, so that's where you could have an integration. Now, let's say in the case of SARS-CoV-2, and you happen to have a RNA, you get SARS-CoV-2 infection, you have the RNA in there, okay? It's possible under certain conditions, but it's rare, but under certain conditions, that your cell that has a retrovirus will take that RNA, reverse transcribe it to DNA, and then integrate it through the integrase into the cell nucleus, into the chromosome, right? All right, so that's possible. Rare, possible. Okay. The other thing is that we have something called human line 1. This is a transposon. Transposons, what they do is that they cut the chromosome and it shifts. Pieces of the chromosome move around. Our DNA is not static, it's dynamic. And it's dynamic through these transposons. So when you have high inflammation, another common theme here, but if you have high inflammation, all right, then what will happen is it'll activate human line 1 and activate that transposon. So if you have RNA or pieces of double RNA, all right, in the cytoplasm, and you have a high inflammatory response, then what will happen is that you could have a leaky nuclear pore, and that leaky nuclear pore can end up getting into the nucleus, a double-stranded RNA or DNA. And what will happen is then the transposon the human line 1 transposon would allow for integration. So that's also rare, but you would need a very high inflammatory response. It'd be very high, like a sepsis.
Yeah.
All right. So both cases are possible, but rare. And this is the issue, that there was a published paper talking about certain components being integrated. Well, the problem is that even if you do have integration, it's very rare. You got to remember that in our DNA, we have areas that are coded and non-coded.
Right.
It's called exons and introns, right? So, and we have more introns than exons. So the chances of it being integrated into a non-coding region is higher on a low probability.
Right.
All right, than being in a coded region. So even if you only have 0.0001% chance of integration through human line 1,
and that's high.
or let's say a retrovirus like HIV, okay, the chances are that you would end up having I don't know, it's probably close to 75% chance of being in a non-coded region. Okay. Now take it one step further. Now that 20% chance, 25% chance of 0.0001% going into a coded region, or in a coded region, you have an open reading frame,
which is basically the shield.
Got an ORF. Okay.
Right.
That's an open reading frame. Okay. So when you get when you're integrating this, this is going to make, and there's a stop. There's a stop here. Okay. So when you're creating the messenger RNA from this DNA, it's going to start from a reading frame, and then stop, right?
Right.
Okay. And then that was the normal. I'll call that alpha. Now beta is, let's say, the very low probability, 0.0001 of 25%. All right. And let's say that you had that integration put in right here. Then you would have a DNA, our messenger RNA, that would code something like that, right? Oh, maybe you can't see it because I.
Don't worry, it's 0.0001.
Right, beta. It's all right. So you're coding, all right, and then the insertion and then the code. This is your messenger RNA from that insertion that's in a open reading frame.
Right.
And then this makes a protein. Okay, some protein that's going to be longer than the normal protein. And when you do insertion, a lot of times what happens is that it actually the way the codons are, you need 3 codons for every amino acid. It normally creates an automatic stop statistically. So it truncates the protein, and it becomes non-functional.
Because it's
and
too long.
It's happening to 99% of the time.
Oh my God! So your point.
So the chances of it, that's my point. So the chances of it being in a coded region the chances of it being in the nucleus is 0.001% chance. Then let's say it's in a coded region. Let's say 25% chance. That's actually high, but let's just say 25% chance of a 0.001%. Then the chances of being able to have a functional protein is like less than 1%, because most of the proteins that would been put in would have been non-functional at 99% chance. All right, so the chance of it being harmful is like about 0.
Oh, hold on. Can we make it easier? You have a better chance of having sex with an elephant and it giving birth than that.
Or panda.
Or panda.
No. You fucking elephant, you get a panda.
Okay. All right. You'll make look, you got a better chance of having sex with an elephant making a panda than to have this work.
Right.
Look. Because we can make chimeras.
Because just because you get cellular integration, which is rare, it doesn't mean that in an open reading frame, it doesn't mean that it actually is going to be disease prevalent. Because you got to remember that you have 2 versions,
right,
of every chromosome.
Hold on, there's 2 sides.
And the body kind of knows when to turn one off and when to turn one on. So the chances of it being diseased, now there are, but you will have rare cases of, maybe you have, integration that's multiplied, and it happens to be in, let's say, a gene that causes a disease, right? let's say cystic fibrosis, and it just happens to go into the cystic fibrosis chain, all right?
Yeah.
And it does something to it that makes it worse. Yeah, could that happen? Maybe, possibly. But, we have 6 billion base pairs. What's the chances of it finding the right one, right? To make a super disease, So it's asinine.
You got
It's
another
asinine. And
chance
this is
to
part
find
of the
the
reason
lottery.
why we have a lot of junk in our DNA. We have a lot of junk, and it's because of this transposon and stuff getting integrated over evolution, and it's just turned off. We have a lot of junk that's just turned off, and then it goes into another situation.
Uh-oh.
So you have histones that wrap the DNA.
We got shields upon shields.
Yes.
Call it a
exactly.
shield. I mean,
well, this shield is a histone.
Yeah.
And the
So people can understand that.
The histones have these things called acetylation and methylation.
Right.
Acetylation allows for it to be transcribed, and methylation prevents it from being transcribed. So that's part of your epigenetics. That has to be turned on and off the proper way for even to allow it to be unraveled, to be able to be integrated. And then it gets raveled up again. So so these people that are saying this kind of stuff, could it happen? There is a published paper that talks about a little bit of this. It's in laboratory conditions. And,
in order it's forced to happen. Laboratory condition, forced.
But and it's very, very rare. And even if it does happen, the chance of it being disease prone is even rarer.
Doc, the only question I have to ask is, why is it that these people go to these other people that don't speak the truth, don't tell the truth, don't acknowledge that they are lying? They never acknowledge.
Because the thing is, the majority of the people that are listening to that kind of stuff habitually have a tendency to just have bias, and they just want to buy into their own bias. A lot of them are anti-vax, and it's your choice to be anti-vax. Yeah. I don't care. But what they'll do is they'll go to a channel that is going to try to prove their anti-vax bias. All right, and so they'll find anyone that says anything negative about the vaccine, and then accentuate it. And then what it does is it snowballs, and then someone else picks it up and then starts creating a falsehood or an outright lie.
Well, lies spread faster than truth, doesn't it?
Right. Well, the thing is that the bottom line is I am not worried about nuclear integration. What I am worried about is autoimmune disorder, and I've been saying that from the very beginning of coverage. Yes.
Yeah.
Autoimmune disorder. And you start hearing all the problems that have been happening, either with long COVID through natural infection or through the vaccine, and it falls in, the far majority of them fall in the category of autoimmune disorder.
I mean, it's a shame, isn't it, that people they rather read everybody's headlines instead of being concerned with, hey, you know something? If we keep giving you, this medication, we can, your body will adjust and it won't work anymore. I mean, just like there's some people that take Motrin. You got to take higher doses. Now you got to take Tylenol 9 because you're just not able, your body is just so used to the medication, i.e., like people taking, what is that thing called? The shot made with oranges, penicillin. Some people just can't take it anymore. They have to come.
What happens is on cells. The target cell will have a receptor, a certain amount of receptors, right?
All right.
And then if they keep on taking a certain drug, what happens is that it desensitizes in the tissue, so the other cells and this cell will start to recycle and bring in those receptors. So now, all right, so in this case, now let's say you had 3 receptors, So you had more sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have 2 receptors. Well, you have less sensitivity, so you need more concentration in your plasma to be able to activate the cell. See, if you had more receptors, then the concentration can be very low of the drug. But if you only have 1 receptor, then you're lowering the chances when it's a low concentration to actually hit that 1 receptor. So this is so that's what's happening is that the cell is actually bringing in the receptors and recycling it.
Right. Or as we say in the world, you know that guy that drinks beer and he drinks it on a daily basis, and the more beer he drinks, the less drunker he gets. He can drink a gallon and he's still not drunk. It's because his body got used to it.
That's part of it, and then the other part is that his liver is starting to go through psoriasis, and it can't. He
can't process.
He can't. Yeah, he can't metabolize, but he can't metabolize the rest of his body either.
Right.
You know, but there's a recycling, so there's this back and forth. If there's too much concentration of a certain chemical, and it's overstimulating the tissue, then what will happen is they'll bring in those receptors. If that chemical isn't there, and it should be, then what they'll do is overproduce receptors and make it oversensitized.
Mm.
So, but the point here is that people need to listen outside of their comfort zone. And even if you know how many people, I went on Mike Adams, all right, and I was explaining to people why getting a vaccine, habitual boosters would be bad, okay? And for people that want to watch it, go to my Bright Time channel and you can see it. All right, but there were comments in that video on Mike Adams' channel saying, "Oh, he's just for the vaccine," and they're not listening to the whole argument. I took an hour and a half to explain the whole argument, and so they just take a bit of it.
They want that snippet.
Pro-vax, and that's not. I am not pro-vax. I'm not anti-vax. But the thing is that they go, "Oh, he's just pushing it because he took the Johnson & Johnson." I was forced vaxxed.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
I'm fully vaccinated for SARS-CoV-2, but I was forced vaxxed. And people need to start putting things in those terms. Well, instead of saying, "Are you vaxxed?" No, I was forced vaxxed. Yeah.
Same as those teachers in New York. They're being forced vaxxed. You either you got the job or you don't want the job. You take the shot, you got the job. If you don't take the shot, get the hell out the house. What do you think, people? What would you suggest? That's called forced vaccination. He got forced vaccinated. Hey, how about this? Anybody want to go on an airplane? You take a shot. That's called what? Forced vaccination. Come on now. Use a little scrutals inside your head to think a little bit.
Right. So people should be using, the point here is that people should be using this kind of argument in talking about stuff that just doesn't exist, or very, very low probability, like super integration of your genome, or you're mutating. 99% graphene in the vaccine, all this BS.
But hold on, I got one for you. There's even one that says that the people are mutating and they're turning into Marvel comic superheroes off of this shit. I was rolling. I mean, I have sat there and I have cried looking at some beat shoot videos, and I must say it honestly. I did it for an experiment to see where people were going, honestly. But as I looked, I probably looked at 6 videos. One guy said, yes, this guy now has superior night vision after taking the mRNA vaccine because of the integration of the mRNA, and there was a mistake made, and he was eating Cheerios. You get the point. He was watching Marvel. He was watching Storm, and he got the power of Storm after taking the vaccine. Okay.
I don't know if people are just being goofy or if they really believe in an alternative universe.
It's an alternate universe.
And it's bringing. And the thing is it brings up a bigger question. I don't know the answer to this. I am not so sure that people should live through COVID. We make the assumption that that the population should be spared. But after going through this process and seeing how dumb people are, seeing how people react and don't fight for their constitutional freedoms, seeing how people fight each other and not the government that's taking away their civil liberties, I am starting to think that perhaps certain groups of people that think a certain way need to be purged.
Yeah,
because they are starting to become a cancer, an intellectual cancer.
Yes.
And so but then it starts. People are going to say, oh, that sounds like eugenics and all this. But I'll tell you, I didn't have that thought pre-COVID. I have that thought now during covering COVID, because I've noticed how stupid people are. And if people can be this stupid and not be willing to fight for your freedoms, maybe you deserve not to have a constitution or your life.
Why don't y'all just go to another country with the rest of the Democrats? How about that? Y'all say they want. Listen, I've heard Oprah. I've heard what's that girl from Ghost? That one is on The View. That one. That ugly motherfucker. Maxine Waters and all of them. I've seen them all. They said if Trump wins, I'm gonna leave the country. They didn't leave. Why didn't y'all put them on the boat and push them off the continent? Why? Why didn't you push them? Because listen, the reason why we're in the mess we're in is because of people like them. And now it's becoming people like them, which are turning into people like these idiots following these propaganda machine song singing liars, hypocrites. Oh yeah, you take the vaccine and you can grow wings and be like Angel in the X-Men. Or you get super fast speed like Flash. Come on now, Doc. We can do this, man. You can create it, Doc. You can create your next generation of mutants. We can actually create our own new TV series off of the vaccine. We're going to call it Heroes Part 2.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that, my world lately has been study and write my paper and do my research, and it's like, and it's very intense. Medical school is extremely intense, and I am losing patience with stupid people. And I don't know if it's maybe I'm being institutionalized through the medical system. I don't know, but I'll tell you that I am seeing a problem with people being able to just weigh the balance of evidence and come to their own conclusion, instead of being, living in this kind of alternative universe. But I do believe in freedom of speech. We shouldn't be telling them not to be able to speak. The problem comes in is that there's this echo chambering that's taking place, and no one is really listening to a cogent, two-sided argument, and weighing the benefits and the risks of that particular policy or understanding. There needs to be this, synthesis, antithesis, and and
I'm cracking up.
Or thesis, and you have to look at both sides, and they have to synthesize it to understand what's really going on, especially when it's a complex problem, because complex problems don't have easy answers. They have complex answers. It's complicated. And I think we're living in a very complex world. It's hard to discern what's going on. But these people that are, living in this alternative universe of being turned into the Borg with 5G.
I thought you were going to go there.
Wait, what?
I thought you were going to go to that, because guess what? Don't forget, the shot allows you to put metal around your arm, and it has a central processor to it, and it sends out a signal to you from your brain to some spy satellite in space. Come on, Doc. I know you know the truth, and you got to tell us. Are they reading my mind? With the 5G tower. You got to add the 5G tower to it.
But I do think that, no, they're not reading it mind. But I do think that if you have enough power, energy focused on an individual or a local area, that you have that Havana syndrome effect. We don't have the specificity or the selectivity of energy weapons to be able to read your mind. I mean, it's, the closest thing that we have to something like that is behavior. By looking at your behavior and throwing it into an algorithm, what your to have some sort of prediction of what your next move is.
They got to know you totally for that.
And there's certain types of people that will act a certain way. If you lived life long enough, for the ones that are older, that are listening, I'm sure you've seen this. If you live life long enough, you will notice that there are similar people that you have met throughout your life that either look the same, but they're not the same. But they're totally different. Maybe different generations, but they go, that person really reminds me of this person. Right. They're acting that way. They're acting similar. So you'll notice that the more people you meet after you've lived 3 or 4 decades of your life, you can start realizing that there are similarities to people, groups of people, and we can be put into categories. And that, yes, everyone is unique, but there are a lot of similarities. Characteristics. But they're physical and they're emotional. And you'd be surprised. I'm noticing this because I've done so many degrees. I'm around people that are 25, 26 years old in medical school.
Don't tell your age, Doc. They think you're 20.
I'm 40 now. But the thing is that they could be my kids, literally. No, but at least 15 of them. But the thing is that they're young, but I can remember when I was their age, having friends that acted or looked like them. Yeah. Or other classmates in a different school, so it's weird. It's really strange, and I'm willing to bet that as I live more decades, I'll notice this pattern more often. So the point that I'm making is that through taking enough samples of the way people act, you can somewhat predict behavior without having a 5G connection to your brain. So I don't buy in the whole 5G. I do buy into the idea of the Havana syndrome, and that's an energy device that's being projected probably from a local area, from another building, shooting towards a different building. I think they have that kind of technology, but the thing is that it's not reading your brain. What it's doing is disrupting your brain and causing like a head injury.
Just like the electrical towers, living above the electrical towers back years ago, before they started putting the sheathing over the wiring more, the electrostatic from the tower would literally cause disruptions in the body. It's nothing different.
But it's not, right, exactly. But it's not specific where they can read a certain neuron in a certain location in your brain and be able to read it. It's not like that. It's disrupting your body. I agree with that.
Hold on, there's a nanobot in you. There's a nanobot in you. I know there's one. But here's the reality of the situation. Biology is nanobots. Yes.
If you literally look at how these molecular structures work in the cell,
it's a living machine.
They are nanotechnology. They're biologically made, biologically assembled. They're using very, very small units of matter, atoms, and creating substances, building blocks off of those, and being able to create structures that do things. So this is nanotechnology, but it's natural.
Yeah.
And it's an emerged behavior from natural phenomena of evolution. So we are nanobots, but there's not nanobots in us. I don't believe that for a second.
But that's okay.
And even if they were, they would get flushed out.
No, Doc, see, what we got to do is we got to go in there and throw your body into one of those scanning machines with radiation, and we got to see them pop. You know, we see that in the movies. We got to imitate a movie, Doc. We know it's real, Doc. This is not a conspiracy. I'm sorry. Everything I've been hearing has come out of some sci-fi flick, and
I'll tell you what,
they push it hard.
Life is way more interesting than sci-fi.
Yes.
I mean, you know, you don't need to watch a horror movie. We're living in a horror.
Shoot.
Right now.
Hey, if you want to see a horror movie, go to Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, they found 80 bodies in a park cut up, in a park. 80 bodies. That's a horror movie, and they don't know who did it. Jason. Come on, Doc. I mean, we've gone from horror movies, from COVID, the sales, to these people are still lying to you, and you're listening to the wrong people. Let's just be honest. You need to be listening to Paul Cottrell. Listen to the words. You listen to Paul Cottrell. He's going to walk you through it. He's going to tell you the pros and cons, and he's going to tell you, listen, inflammation is the key. Heal yourself. You know what I'm going to tell you? I'll tell you, look, go get an anti-aging box. He's not going to tell you. I'll tell you, go get an anti-aging box and heal yourself. On the other side, you're going to go tell me, well, guys, I just read this article. Well, I didn't read it. I saw it on BitChutes that the Supreme Court said that this thing is gonna rewrite my DNA forever. And I'm gonna sit there and look at you like you're an idiot because you're gonna tell me these 70, 80-year-old people are gonna literally tell you something's gonna change you forever, and they're neither scientists nor doctors nor researchers. I'm sorry. I mean, the insanity is there right now, and I want to crack
what is the interesting thing is that we are always evolving.
Yes.
Somatic cells and our germline cells. So, you know, so our cells are mutating and they're morphing. So we're plastic in a way. We change, right? We're not static. And there is some strong evidence that part of the evolutionary process is actually viral infection. Viral infection through, you know, long durations of mutation that eventually does selection, that ends up going into a coding region, that ends up creating a protein that is beneficial. It ends up being non-beneficial or just benign. And then eventually it gains a function over eons, and then eventually it's selected through evolutionary pressure as something beneficial. You know, the thing is that I don't think you know this, but the thing is that we all basically started with a very simple chromosome, right? You know, and it just had some genes on it. Mm-hmm. But over time, what happened was there was a replication error, and it ended up making two.
Error.
You know, and they were exactly the same. And then over time,
yeah,
that ended up going, and that one ended up having that kind of mutation, and the other one ended up getting this kind of mutation. And now this ends up being chromosome 1 and chromosome 2, and it has different functions within that species. Well, then over time, it ends up, and we're talking millions of years, but you end up getting 4 chromosomes now.
Oh my God, 4!
You know, and then, you know, 2 of them are the same. Mm-hmm. You have 2 copies, but over time they all drift. and then we are now at 46. So it's through this copying of chromosomes that leads, and then those copies over time drift away, that leads to functionality. So this mechanism plus, viral or bacterial pieces of DNA getting inserted in and causing some sort of selectivity of benefit, and we evolve. So, this is part of the human experience, not the contemporary human experience, but it's part of the human experience as this evolutionary process here. But we all life came from basically the same code, and then it just drifted away from its originalness because there was selection pressure locally that caused different things to happen, and we all all the species started to balloon out on the tree of life. And viruses and bacteria and fungi and parasites and the movement of DNA through transposons and accidental mutations and that sort of thing, all that together ends up being evolution, right? So, we have to keep in mind that we are always changing. You are not the same as when you were born.
No, you got bigger feet.
Well, not that, but your DNA is different. Your DNA is different.
Environmental changes.
Even at your germline level. So,
But Doc,
people need to realize that it's just like we are constantly mutating. We are mutating, but it's at a low rate. It's at a slow rate.
But Doc, so you're gonna tell me that they may be right? One day I'm gonna actually be able to pop out my wings and fly, or maybe a couple of generations down they could pop out their wings and fly, and it's because of my chromosomes being manipulated. I could be Superman. I could be Superman if I lived that long.
Well, there are children that have a disease that actually produces more muscle
and limbs,
and not just but they get more muscle, and they end up they have this myohypertrophy, where their muscle cells actually are increased. And so these kids that are like 1 or 2 years old, they look like bodybuilders.
You mean baby Hulks without the the gamma radiation?
It's a real disease.
Baby Hulks.
No, it's a real disease. I don't remember the name of it, but yeah, we covered it in one of my classes.
So, all right, are we parasites on this planet? Are we?
Yes.
Okay. Now, now, if parasites are living organisms and we are parasites, do you think that there's a body that we're not seeing and we're just in our own parasite world? Like ants, they see us as probably moving objects. They don't really see what we are.
Well, yeah, I see your point.
And now we're going to the Men in Black series.
I'll take it one step. I'll take it more probably in line with physics and mathematics. Everything is similar because of the Fibonacci sequence.
Okay.
Everything is a spiral of a spiral of a spiral. So this idea that we are a parasite of a bigger organism is this same philosophy of this spiral within a spiral.
Spiral within a spiral.
But the thing is that it's not of a bigger organism that has feet and legs or antennas or anything like that. The thing that we are a part of is terra firma, Earth. And Earth is inside the solar system, and the solar system's inside the galaxy, and the galaxy is inside a cluster,
right?
Of galaxies. And so there is that aspect of that we are a part of something bigger through the Fibonacci sequence, but it's not like we are in a being
that we know of.
You know, but what's interesting there, but the thing is that what is interesting is that the mathematical modeling of the universe seems to be very similar to neural networks in the brain.
Yeah.
Now, but that again, that isn't that there's a brain.
We don't know
it's
yet.
Not, as it, you know, it's not a brain.
If you said it, Doc, you know what would happen? You could be the first person to say something like that, and guess what? I can refer to this. My grandbabies could do it, and they could say, he said it, and it would be real, and you'd be historic.
I'm already historic. You gotta remember, I was the first one to tell everybody it was a bioweapon.
Well, yeah.
I'm already historic.
All right,
the biggest event in our lifetime, I just told everyone on January 25th, at about 8 o'clock of 2020, 8 p.m. New York time, because the center of the universe is New York. You know, that it was a bioweapon.
Okay.
You know, I already made history.
Okay.
So, but the thing is,
we gotta call CNN. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Cousins News Network.
Right. So, but the thing is that there are patterns of patterns within patterns, and because of that, we make these leaps of connection because of our lack of knowledge of this larger thing that we're talking about.
Correct.
So it's not that astonishing to me that the universe seems like a neural network, you know, but that doesn't mean that there's a brain of the universe.
I'm gonna ask.
It just means that there's this flow of
energy,
flow of energy, but a flow of dynamics.
Okay.
Of the spiral that leads to another spiral within a spiral that leads to. So there is a connection. There's definitely a connection between the spiral of the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and the spiraling of a developing fetus, an embryo.
Yes.
And then that embryo opens up, and the fetus starts to grow. There's a connection.
Right.
We are part of a momentum from deep past of the Big Bang.
I was hoping you were going to say
and that consolidation of matter, that we're all part of that same momentum, that same spiral momentum.
Right.
And so it's not surprising that there is this common motif of the spiral. You know, so, but that doesn't mean that we are a parasite within a larger organism. You know, this is the situation that Dawkins talks about. You know, the problem with people that are dealing with pseudoscience is they have a tendency to say, well, the spaghetti monster is out there, and then and he's roaming around Jupiter. Well, and then you go, where's the evidence of this spaghetti monster? And then they go, well, I just think it's there. And you go, well, where's the evidence? No evidence of something is highly indicative of it not existing. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just that there's no evidence of existence.
Right.
And so you have to default logically to the assumption that it doesn't exist. Now you start getting into the realm of religion and belief systems,
philosophy.
Right. So but the thing is that you have to stick to logic to get there. Right. You have to you have to go through. It's about logic. It's not about belief. So
we're going Vulcan, everybody.
Right, yeah. So but the thing is that you have too many people out there that are, especially in this COVID world that we're living in, that are just making these statements without any scientific evidence of these statements. And this is the problems that and that when we do this, then we start creating these religions. The religion of anti-vax, the religion of pro-vax. They're both religions.
Yeah.
But let's not say they're because they're stuck in a dogma.
They're belief systems.
Yeah. Because one side is saying there's no error, There's no harm, and the other saying that there is only harm. So they're belief systems.
Hey Doc, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go Vulcan. I'm going to do a Kobayashi Maru, and I'm going to make them pronounce the word twice. And if they can't do it, they failed us. We're at the end of the show, Doc. We got Mr. Cowboy Bob coming up next on the Global. But I know Doc's going to tell us, like I told y'all, and I put it in the chats, go to the store. Buy the anti-aging boxes. Get help with this inflammation. And let me tell you, did he bullshit you at all? That's all I gotta say. He ain't bullshit you. He told you the truth. What else can he do for you? Oh, and by the way, we're going to need you on Doctor's Corner for the other radio show, Blacks and Whites, on the Blacks and Whites Network, because you got to make an appearance, Doc, at some point in time real soon to make these people understand that we are only human. And some of us got wilder ass imaginations than I know of. Hold on. That might be in the draconian in me. I don't know. Or am I?
Well, the thing is that we have to stick with logic.
I think I'm a little green man.
We're going to lose our constitutional freedoms.
We're
going to lose humanity. We're going to lose our humanity.
Let's have a purge.
We're going to devolve into a world of chaos.
Let's have a purge.
Hardship.
Let's get it over with, Doc. Let's do purge.
Well, one of the benefits of a world war is that it allows us to reset.
Yeah.
You reset the currency, reset
the mindset, the beliefs.
And you know what? Maybe.
That's the
war
answer.
Is good. Maybe war is good.
War is good. Yeah. Hold on, that came out of Men in Black too. I remember that one. War is good.
No, I'm serious. Maybe war is good.
Yeah.
There may be a feedback where society gets too nutty, too institutionalized, that war is the only purge of it. Like, for example, if your blood cells are too much, we have too many blood cells, that's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad for your body.
Too much of anything.
And your body has to find ways to get rid of those, toast those red blood cells, and reduce that concentration. Maybe mankind is in a similar setting. It's a dark thought, but I mean, it seems as though we're vastly approaching stupidity. We're reaching a threshold that if we don't dial it back and start using logic, I think the only thing left is war.
So do you understand why I laugh so much? Because I'm sitting here like, these people are insane. Honestly, I can't. I'm sorry, Robert. We're running late on your show. I give you some overtime. I gotta stop for a second and just tell them that. You people out there are insane. I mean, the shit you come up with. I think I am now going to transform on right now in front of you. I'm going to transform. I'm going to let you know honestly, I'm going to transform, and I want people to see me do it because, I am a draconian, and I want you to see my true form. Yes, I said it live on air. I am going to transform for you so that you can see me. Are you ready? Oh my God, I haven't done this before, Doc. You ready? You ready? Here we go. I'm scared. I'm going to show myself. Oh, here it comes. I gotta be crazy to deal with you people. Because y'all don't know the truth. You can't speak the truth. And I'm sorry. If the truth will set you free.
Well, the thing is that look at what, like after this show, this is what I got to deal with. I got to deal with antimicrobial lecture. I got to do pathology lab. I have to write sections of my paper. I got to go through PowerPoints on cholinergic
And so that
pharmacology.
that shows he's real. That shows you're real. You're real, aren't you? It proves to people that you are real, right? But hold on. Y'all rather go to a
I'm burned out, though. I'm burned out.
I know. Listen, do you think you're burned out? Brother, I don't go to bed till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Every day, 5 days a week. Don't play with me. Okay?
Go Navy.
Go Navy. Can do, baby. CBs. Yeah, the bottom line is, people say, that's insane. Well, in order to keep this truth going, for everyone out there that's listening, the only way we can keep this truth going is to tell the truth. And to tell the truth, it takes a family. The Global Enlightenment Radio Network is a family. Dr. Paul is part of the family. He's our resident brain surgeon, basically. He keeps us thinking. We got people that keep our empathy, people that keep our minds moving, people that want to keep us agitated so that we can research even harder. We got people that want to tell you the truth. We got people that give you an religious aspect. We give you people that give you a non-religious aspect. We give you people that want to disindoctrinate you. We got people that want you to be indoctrinated. We got a family. And you know something? Outside of that, you people crazy as a motherfucker. I'm sorry, Doc, I gotta say it. You don't sit there and tell me that you sit there and look at them dumb people in those dumb videos making all that money off of you, and you didn't come to the man and ask him the question. Dr. Paul has an email address. Dr. Paul is accessible. Hell, you can send me an email and I'll pass it on to him. Everybody knows grnradio@gmail.com. How hard is it to pass a message to Dr. Paul, to ask him a question? But no, you'd rather go to BitChutes and have the Supreme Court tell you that, well, we decided that this vaccine is going to give you a lifetime of changes to your body. And you cannot sit there and rationalize, think logically, that these are lawyers, not scientists you're talking about. Lawyers! Doc, do they even have an idea of what I'm saying? I mean, I'm trying to be honest. Lawyers, not doctors. Lawyers, not scientists. Lawyers, not chemists, not biochemists, not molecular biologists.
Well, there are a couple. There are individuals out there that are MDs, PhD MDs.
That's you.
And MD, and MD, PhD, and JDs.
Yeah.
Now there are some people out there I disagree with, but there's an individual that is stating that the weapon is the vaccine, and I disagree with that. And I think I have enough evidence to suggest.
Say data. It sounds better.
The thing is that I'm going to do a video called the Unified Field Theory of COVID, and that Unified Field Theory is going to explain the whole timeline from 2005 to now on what the hell happened.
Doc.
And I'll do a video. I'll do another video. I want to do one on my channel. I'll do another one on this channel. And then I'll reiterate it with Mike Adams. But the thing is that there is a unified field theory to explain that this was a DoD weapon program, and it's not about the vaccine. The vaccine is secondary to the weapon, not primary. And this is where people go wrong. And so if we start talking about Helsinki Accord and we're
MK Ultra.
About, let's say, if we're talking about Helsinki, or we're talking about Nuremberg codes and stuff like this for crimes against humanity, we need to focus on not of the vaccine. We need to focus on actually individuals that actually created, funded, researched, and weaponized this virus and viruses, because there's many out there, that are in the lab, and hold them accountable for crimes against humanity. They shouldn't have been doing. They should not have been doing this research, and they should not. And the Pentagon and these military brass should not have instituted this as a weapons system for the United States military. And this is the direction to go, not focusing on vaccines.
But don't worry about it.
So, and this is my theory. This is part of the unified field thing. By creating division and having people focused on vaccines, they're not looking at the real ball. And the real ball is the weapons program that was developed with the viruses.
True.
Viruses, plural. Viruses,
yeah.
plural.
And
so people are too focused on, I don't want to take the vaccine. Well, where were you when we were talking about constitutional freedoms last year? Early last year,
Why do you consult your representative?
So it's all about, it's all about, you know what? I have the video. I called Schumer, Senator Schumer, and Governor Cuomo when he was the governor, twice, to talk about this very issue, about SARS-CoV-2 and the issues that were happening early on in New York, and the CDC hiding the data. So, and then I got a letter back from kind of like one of these mass email letters from the governor stating at that time that his highest priority was climate change, not SARS-CoV-2. And then shortly after that, then he switched the game and started realizing how bad it was. But they didn't listen to what I had to say. It's all on tape. It's all been recorded. It's all published on Brighteon. And so I'm not bullshitting. There's a 22-minute recording of me bitching out someone at the health department that's under Governor Cuomo's office. So twice, two different individuals, two different occasions. So I think I did my part to try to save our constitutional freedoms and to try to inform the public. But the far majority of these people that are saying, I don't want to take the vax. See, it's all about them.
Yeah.
It's not about what they could have done earlier. They didn't do it.
I go back to January 6th. Right then and there would have been a day to stop all that.
Yeah, I mean,
hate to say it, but it's true.
The problem with January 6th was that it was too localized and needed to be a TED offensive.
It needed to have been like BLM and Antifa. Should have been every major city like they did. And hold on, to make everybody understand, they still in the Chubb zone in Seattle, and also Chicago and in Detroit. They are still have these little centers where it's their zone, not part of the state, where it is lawless. Just to let you know, it still exists.
Right.
All this time, low kept, no news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think people were too focused on now. I don't want to take the vax. I don't want to take the vax now. It's kind of too late.
Yeah.
It really is too late.
You're gonna be forced.
The time to fight. Yeah, and it's going to get worse because there's going to be forced boosters, and not only that, forced scheduling.
Well, once they get forced boosters, everybody's going to have to take the vax if you want to be somewhere.
Yep. It's too. It's almost too late to fight.
It's a trickle down.
The next way to do this is to try to reduce the potential harm of it. These people that think that they're not going to be able to get a vaccine, that they don't have to take that. No, they will.
They will have to.
They will. There's no. It's just time.
You can't take public transportation.
It's just a matter of time. You'll give in and you'll take it. Unless you're independently wealthy like Bill Gates, you will take it.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Resistance is futile.
Now the question, right. But the question is, what as a society are we going to do to slow this thing down? I think it's getting to the point where it has to be confrontational.
What do you think about the Mu strand? I mean, the vaccine doesn't work on it at all. At all.
Are you sure that's true?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Mu does not have any It's fully resistant to the vaccine.
I
got to relook
I would
it
have
up.
to I have to research
report.
that, because I don't believe that's true.
Well,
I think it's diminished neutralization, but I don't think it doesn't neutralize. Mu isn't mutated enough to totally not be neutralized. I don't believe that.
There was a report, and I read it somewhere in the WHO. Because they didn't want
100%. 100%.
not 100%. It was like 70-some%.
Well, there's some details in there that we have to.
Mu over 7 times more resilient to antibodies than the first.
It's right to the first one. To the first one.
So being
P4,
7 times
right.
makes it 75%. So
right. But now compare that to Delta.
Well, Delta
The real
is
comparison.
just here.
The real comparison is that.
But Delta is here already, and
No. But yeah, I get that. But the thing is that you get to understand the comparison. It's Delta. It's relative to Delta and how Delta was to the P4 variant.
Okay, and Mu still has a chance to mutate again.
Right. I'm more worried not so much of Mu, but Mu plus.
That's what I was getting ready to say. You caught what I said. It's getting ready to become another variant, because if Mu and Delta make a baby with Lambda.
Well, it's not going to work.
Sci-fi magazine.
Right. But the thing is that this goes right into what I was saying. People are getting hardwired to a certain epitope.
The 5.
And then you're hardwired to the old epitope. You're not going to be able to respond to V12.
Right. So
this is falling right into what I predicted. I think it's 5 years from now. I don't think it's sooner than 5 years, but I think there's going to be mass deaths in 5 years because we're hardwired to a certain epitope.
It says that it is currently protected well against systematic infection and severe disease from all variants. So they're trying to say that the vaccine, they still call it a vaccine, not a therapeutic, will protect you. But
wait. But the thing is, it is a vaccine because it was designed with it's a therapeutic. If it didn't have the adjuvant, it has the adjuvant to create an immune response, to create antibodies. So by definition, it's a vaccine. And so anyone that says otherwise doesn't understand the definition of what a vaccine is.
If there's a response, it becomes.
If I give you a peanut protein, and you eat it, right? Then it's just a peanut protein. If I give you a peanut protein with an adjuvant, and you develop an antibody, and I wanted you to develop an antibody against the peanut protein, then that is a vaccine against the peanut protein. And so someone would say, well, no, it's food. No, it's a vaccine against a food protein.
That's the same.
By definition, it's a vaccine.
It's a vaccine. Yeah. Right. I mean,
so everyone that keeps on, they don't know what they're talking about. This is the people that keep on saying, oh, see, what it is that you have dual purpose with the messenger RNA platform. It can be a therapeutic. It was focused on cancer research and cancer therapy. Or, if designed a certain way, can be a vaccine. The original research was for therapeutics, true, but the original research didn't have adjuvants in it.
Right. And then
So that's like saying, you know, that it's only one thing. That's not true. It depends on how it's packaged. You know?
It's weird. But people need to do the research and listen to you. Seriously. They need to listen to you. They need to come to you. They need to get their heads out their ass and get some knowledge from Dr. Paul. But that's okay. Y'all scared. Y'all want to go listen to people in BitChute tell you that, if I take the shot, I'm going to grow wings. I'm trying to get wings now. What are you talking about? Listen, I want to get Cyclops eyes. I can't get no lasers, Doc.
You're not going to get lasers.
I'm not going to get them?
No.
I mean, come on. I can't get a spike protein for that?
Okay, so I thank you for this broadcast, and
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody thank you for listening, and please go to my store. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. Go and look at the different products, the nano silver products I have, the boomer products, which are the supplements, the C60, which is a very strong antioxidant and helps with the mitochondrial health, and then the Quench Naturel products, which is the two deodorants that have natural ingredients, and that's a good way to prevent the inflammation and detoxify your life. And by doing that, and you listen and pay attention to the protocol that I published on Brighteon. It's HIV War Room episode, I think 48, 47, 48, 49. I did 3 videos, and you listen to that. That will help you reduce inflammation and have your body heal. But not only that, if you take the dose amount that I was suggesting that I took, then you're adding to the probability of reducing that inflammatory response if you take a vaccine. The whole idea is to bring down the inflammation and reduce the autoimmune disorder.
That's true.
This is what you can do, and these are natural things. It's not like you're taking anything crazy. So, thank you for listening, and please go to the store and help support my research.
Night, everybody.
Bye bye. Oh, in the